Hey Coyotes, welcome to Form 25.1 Skinfolds. So this is a continuation of our body composition conversation. For this lab, similar to labs in the past, I will give you examples in the top, and then you will be in charge of finishing up the bottom. So going through our basic information first, at the top we have a male, initials, age 30, height 163 centimeters, weight 89. So with the kilograms of the weight, I'm just going to write it right here, not for any particular reason other than as we get that percentage of body fat, because that's the whole point with this determination of Skinfold is we're trying to figure out the percentage of body fat. So if we know the percentage of body fat and then the overall weight, you can see how much of that is derived from their total weight. A lot of people get very obsessed with just the overall weight without the justification of lean mass versus fat mass. You guys as kinesiologists probably have a better sense of that, but your normal population struggle with that quite a bit. So I'm speaking from my experience working in the clinical setting at Kaiser. So with the second basic information, we have a female, initials, she's 23 years old. She is 158 centimeters and her overall weight is 73.6 kilograms. So kilograms, 73.6. All right. So from here, let's go ahead and talk about the sites of measurement. So we're back here at the top. We're going to have 1 trial, 2 trials, 3 trials. What do I mean by trials? I mean we're going to go through 7 different sites in a rotation order. So that is an important thing to bring up because of kind of tissue and tissue quality, and you could even refer to it as tissue creep. As we kind of pinch the skin and manipulate it, it will do a couple things. One of it, it's elasticity properties, the water content, we can kind of squish it out. So we need to give it some time to normalize. So that's why we want to go through these trials in a rotation manner. So one other thing to point out is we are doing the 7 Skinfold evaluation, and you notice I already mapped out the 7 sites. We do not need to do the 3. The thing to point out with the 3 Skinfold site measure versus the 7 is we have less information, less data, so therefore we don't get as much as a valid look at what's going on. So more sites, the better. That's something to point out with Skinfold. So if you're wondering why there's these little asterisks located next to certain Skinfold sites compared to the other, it's because it's trying to point you in the direction of doing the 3 Skinfold tests compared to the 7. So let's go ahead and walk through these 7 different sites just so you're a little bit more familiar with them. There is a diagram in the PowerPoint slides and the lecture video which outlines where these sites are located. It really is worth memorizing these, and also the anatomical positions on how to figure them out accurately. So you're going to need a little bit of a loose tape measure plus a marker to find these sites. Let's go ahead and walk through them. Triceps, we can kind of guess that's going to be the back of your arm. The subscapularis, the key there is scapularis. That's going to be the scapula, your back, upper right region. Your chest Skinfold, this is a little bit of a tricky measure for men and women. The site does change a little bit. So this is between kind of your armpit and your shoulder. Your axillary skeleton, this is dealing down at your side. Your suprailium, this is more oblique to that. That is more oblique to that axial site. and then your abdominal skin fold, you can guess where that's at, and then the top of your leg or your thigh. So here's the diagram I'm talking about, and you can kind of see that. So you got your tricep region right here. You have your subscapularis a little bit below your scapula. You have your axially. You have your axial. You have your suprailiac. The ilium is next to the iliac. Your chest between kind of the nipple and your shoulder area, right above the armpit, your thigh, your abdominal. When you do locate those sites, it is a good idea to draw in a cross-like pattern, and that really deals with the setup with your calipers and how you're going to pinch the skin and pull away. This takes a lot of practice, so being in this quinkydink quarantine, not having access to practice this, it is probably pretty important that you guys figure out a way that you can get some time doing this. So if this is a conversation you would like to have on an individual level through office hours, you can come and talk to me about that, and we can kind of figure out some way to get a little bit more experience if you feel like that is needed. All right, so from there, we're going to go through our 7 different sites, rotating through 3 trials, and we're going to get some numbers. So when we get those numbers, we are going to do a median measure. And really what we're doing is we're taking those 3 numbers and we're looking for the median score. And just so you realize this is all measured in millimeters. So if we look at the median scores, we end up with 18.0, 26.0, 17.0, 30.0, 21.0, 34.0, and last but not least, 26.0. So when we add up all those median numbers, 18, 26, 17, 30, 21, 34, 26, we get 173, or excuse me, 172. Why did I say 3? I don't know. So 172. Something to point out with this number is we can kind of, if you want a quick glance into figuring out a change, detecting a change in your body composition, you don't necessarily have to go through the rest of this calculation. You can kind of pause right here, and you can get some good global information if you are seeing a change in body composition. Say if it's not so important to figure out the exact, that's even a play on words, the estimate of percentage of fat. But this gives you a good chunk of information right here. So it's worth pointing out, just measuring these 7 sites and summing them up. If you had someone on like an exercise program or a diet program, or I don't even like to use that word diet, lifestyle modification program, then a change in this number would be a change in their subcutaneous body fat. So from here, we can get down to the 7 site. You can cross out this guy right here. We're not doing the 3 site. We're just going to do the 7 site. So I cross this out, and you can do the same, or you can leave them blank. All right, so I would prefer if you guys just left them blank. That way it's just easier when I'm going through the numbers and I don't get myself mixed up. But from there, we can come down to the 7 sites and we can fill this in. So we're looking at Skinfold summary right there, Skinfold summary right there, and then the age. So let's start with the age. We are dealing with a 30-year-old. And then the summary, ta-da! That's a little bit of the beauty behind Skinfold. It's a pretty easy way to figure it out. Let's do that over. That looks more like a 3, doesn't it? $172. There we go. 172. At this point, we are trying to figure out this guy right here, this D subscript B. This is figuring out density of the body. Or you can even flip it and say body density. Now, it should be pointed out that this equation here is actually a regression equation. A tricky little spot to point out is the fact that when we are doing this particular area of the calculation, there is a power of 2. So make sure when you're doing this that you are noticing that and plugging it in correctly into your calculator. So if we go ahead and kind of break apart this equation to make it a little bit more digestible, this is what we get. So starting from our left and working our way over, I left off this 1.112. Really, I'm dealing with the stuff in the brackets. So the first one, we have 0.000434499 times 172, and we get 0.074818828. Moving on to the second component right there, we're going to take 0.6055, and then we're going to square 172. We get 0.01627112, and then the last thing is this 0.000288826 times 30, the age, and that's what we get there. So from there, you just kind of plug and play. So we're going to have 1.112 minus this number here, plus this number here, minus this number here. It's a little tricky, but it's going to take some practice once you guys get it down. It should be done with no problem. So when you're all said and done, it'll look something like this. So our moving from the left again to the right, 1.112 minus 0.074818828 plus 0.0162712 minus 0.0008647 equals 1.04480512. Don't need all those numbers, just kind of look at the main numbers we're dealing with. You can probably cut this off after three places. So we're going to go 0, 4, 4, look to the right, 8. So we're going to report this as 1.045. 1.045. 1.045. Now, with this last little equation right here, we can get the actual percentage. So let's go ahead and plug that in. We're looking at 495 divided by 1.045, which equals that big long lanky number. And then we're going to subtract 450, and we should get somewhere around 24%, 23.68. We can go ahead and round that up to 24%. So 24. And then we go ahead and we can look at that same number on table 25.3. And you will be using table 25.4 for your categorization and then using that information for your evaluation. So 24%. So 24% of that overall 89 kilograms. And then we can compare it to the overall weight of 89 kilograms. So 24% of that 89 kilograms is fat mass. So it gives you some perspective. And I think that is a very important thing, especially when you're dealing with people who struggle with weight, trying to understand the ins and out of weight loss. It can be a tricky thing. So having some good data definitely helps out a lot. So that is it for Form 25.1 Skinfold. Take a crack at the bottom. Remember, do not fill in the skin folds for the three skin folds, and then for the equations itself, you don't need to fill in anything there. I will not be grading that. All right, so just leave those guys blank. All right. Let me know if you guys need any help.